Coming up next on Good Morning El Paso, it was the first presidential debate for Democrats. So what happened and what do they say sets them apart from their Republican counterparts?
Secretary Clinton.
And the trial continues for a former high school teacher in El Paso. What this person is accused of doing and who he's accused of doing it with, coming up.
Live, where news comes first. From the Mesilla Valley and Las Cruces to El Paso and the borderland. This is ABC7's Good Morning El Paso.
Rise and shine. A very good morning to you, El Paso, Las Cruces, and Juarez. I'm Stephanie Valle.
And I'm Hillary Floren. Good morning, everyone. To round-the-clock coverage to start with this morning, emergency crews say a person was stabbed early this morning in north central El Paso. It happened just before 3 a.m. near the 2400 block of McKinley. No word on the victim's condition right now or any suspects, but we will continue to update you as we get new information.
And we also have our storm track weather forecast, and Crystal Clay is standing by with a look at that. And Crystal, it's looking pretty nice today.
It really is, especially compared to yesterday. If you enjoyed those warmer temps, maybe you wore the shorts in the afternoon, same deal today. The forecast not changing much. In fact, a smidge warmer in some areas. Now, don't shoot the messenger. The good news is things do change in the long-term forecast, so if you want the cooler conditions, those will come about. It's just going to take a few days before we can get there. Let's take a look now at outside some of your temperatures, those current conditions. We are sitting at 63 degrees in El Paso right now, and Las Cruces at 54 degrees outside. So the start of the morning, just as we have been seeing, it's good out there. It's later on into the day that things just get awfully hot for this time of year. Coming up, we'll talk about the heat continuing, but a storm system on our watch, which could mean rain and higher winds on through your weekend. Those details just a few minutes away.
All right, Crystal, thank you. The Democrats vowed to be different. No fighting or name calling. Instead, last night's first Democratic debate for president featured more policy than finger pointing. But there were still some attacks. ABC's Brandy Hitt is in Las Vegas with the latest.
The first Democratic face-off for president heated up instantly over gun control.
Secretary Clinton, is Bernie Sanders tough enough on guns?
No, not at all.
Frontrunners Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders going head-to-head.
I supported a ban on assault weapons.
With Lincoln Chafee and Martin O'Malley jumping in.
The NRA gets its way in our Congress, and we take a back seat. I would bring the gun lobby in and say, we've got to change this. Where can we find common ground?
Clinton was asked about her record as Secretary of State and the deadly attack on the U.S. Embassy in Benghazi.
But unless you believe the United States should not send diplomats to any place that is dangerous, which I do not, then when we send them forth, there is always the potential for danger and risk.
The moderators even brought up Republican frontrunner Donald Trump during the debate.
Donald Trump and his billionaire friends under my policies are going to pay a hell of a lot more in taxes.
And they also took questions from Facebook.
Do Black Lives Matter?
As the President of the United States, every life in this country matters.
But the biggest moment of the night involved Clinton's controversial email scandal with her private server.
I've taken responsibility for it. I did say it was a mistake.
And with that, she got support from Sanders.
The American people are sick and tired of hearing about your damn emails.
Thank you. Me too. Me too.
And that was ABC's Brandy Hitt reporting. The one potential candidate not on stage, Vice President Joe Biden. He is expected to announce whether he's running for president later this week.
We have more information now on a serious car wreck that happened Friday night. Police now say one of those drivers has died. The crash happened on I-10 West near the Mesa exit downtown. Police say 23-year-old Aaron Alejandro Ramirez was driving a car that collided head-on with a truck. It appears one of the vehicles may have been going the wrong way. Ramirez died from his injuries. The 3 people in the truck were also hurt and taken to the hospital. At this time, no charges have been filed. A former Doña Ana County clerk employee pleaded guilty for her involvement in a check cashing scheme. 43-year-old Maria Ceniceros was sentenced to 2 years in prison. Prosecutors say 51-year-old Armando Gutierrez Torres would give Ceniceros checks, and then she would use them to create fraudulent tax returns. Gutierrez Torres was also sentenced to 2 years in prison. He will be deported to his native Mexico after serving his sentence.
Today, the trial continues for the former Eastwood High School teacher accused of having sex with students. Christopher Miranda was a teacher and assistant gymnastics coach. He was arrested back in February. Court documents state the then 24-year-old had sex with 3 girls between 16 and 17 years old. One of the girls claims she had a relationship with Miranda for more than a year. That trial is continuing today, and you can follow the story on air or online at KVIA.com.
A man who violated his parole when he did not return to a halfway house in East El Paso last week has been arrested. According to the El Paso County Sheriff's Office, Jose Gilbert Escueba was given a pass to leave the halfway house on October 6th. He is a registered sex offender and was previously charged with indecency with a child. The victim, a 13-year-old girl.
Yesterday, we told you about an arrest in a cold case nearly 50 years in the making. And now we're hearing from the granddaughter who helped make that arrest possible. 2 years ago, Siobhan Prince made a phone call which prompted El Paso police to send old evidence from the 1970 case off for DNA testing. That evidence was fingernail clippings containing DNA matching an old suspect, Willie James Johnson of Mississippi. Detectives had been in contact with Rivers' granddaughter since she made that inquiry about her grandmother's murder. And we spoke to her in an email. She said, quote, "I didn't know the status of the case when I originally inquired, but as time went on, I realized the level of detail that went into the initial investigation. From there, it was a waiting and praying process." It was those prayers and that phone call from Rivers' granddaughter that broke this case wide open after 45 years. The city of El Paso announced it's saving more than $390,000 on zoning inspector response times. Zoning cases include sidewalk repairs, rock wall repairs, and land use. Changes with the way zoning cases are processed has resulted in being able to take on more cases with quicker response times and results. It's estimated the changes will save the city $394,000 every year.
The city also approved a tax incentive agreement to build a water production plant near the K. Bailey Hutchison desalination plant. The Enviro Water Minerals Company will invest $65 million to build it. When complete, the plant will produce an additional 2.2 million gallons of drinking water every day. The company will also add 10 permanent jobs with average salaries of about $50,000 a year, plus 75 temporary construction jobs. In return, the city will rebate $2.2 million worth of property taxes.
The Sunland Park Fire Department is speaking out now on why the public should reconsider getting rid of the city government. To them, it's a matter of safety. Last Friday, a dozen people filed a petition to go back under county control. The city's fire department has 2 full-time stations, and there's already talk of building a 3rd. The Firefighter Association president says if those services are done away with, the response times could jump from 7 minutes all the way up to half an hour. Doñana County Sheriff Kiki Vigil also said he thought crime would go up in the area if Sunland Park went under county control.
At 6:08, here's a live look at traffic this morning. Getting a little busier out there. This is I-10 and McRae as we head into the more congested part of the morning, generally speaking.
A full investigation is underway after 2 firefighters die in the line of duty.
So what new information is making officials think the building wasn't safe to begin with?
And commuters expect a little morning traffic as part of the daily routine, but traffic got a whole lot worse when a plane had to make an emergency landing on a busy highway.
That'll wake you up, right?
Oh, yeah.
And meteorologist Crystal Cly has our forecast.
And that's going to wake us up too, right, Crystal?
Yeah, that's right, because we have 90s in the forecast. We're actually going to go over some of the statistics on the 90s in the borderland coming up after your break.
Thanks so much, Crystal. This is ABC 7, where news comes first.